Welcome to the Burning Pallets Podcast, sponsored by Texsource. Here's your host, Ryan Boland.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Ryan here with Texsource, the Burning Pallets Podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. To the right of me, left of me, whatever you see on the camera or who pops up, we got Mike McEvoy. As always, the second guy in line / the originator of the podcast. And then also beside Mike, we have another Mike. We actually got four mics right here. Two on these pods and two sitting in the couch. We got Mike Hoey. Which one's Mike Hoey?
Me.
Yeah. And Mike McEvoy. So it's very the names.
Lots of mics today.
Yes, lots of mics today. But anyways, we're welcoming Mike McEvoy. Everybody who watches our podcast who knows who Mike Hoey is. Mike McEvoy is now coming on with Texsource as a salesman, or Martin Supply. Let me rephrase. Up north in
Connecticut and Rhode Island and New York.
Connecticut and Rhode Island.
Wow.
A lot of people who's been in the industry for a while, in the screen printing industry, you might have heard of Mike McEvoy. He's been around for
Workhorse equipment. There's the originator.
Yeah.
Started Workhorse equipment.
At least 30 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So the true originator of Workhorse.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
Why'd you want to call it Workhorse?
Yeah, we just wanted to call it Workhorse because we thought, it says what it does.
Yeah.
We tried to make machinery that was truly like a workhorse and just like, down to business, solid, reliable.
So you have, you started Workhorse. What was prior to starting Workhorse? You were already in screen printing?
Yeah, I had a screen printing shop that I started in high school. And actually, Mike Hoy was employee number one. Started printing T-shirts when I was like 12 or 13 years old. And
so this both goes back to same high school?
No, we were rival high schools. He was in the big high school and I was in the little one stoplight town that always got, we didn't even get to play with those guys. They were in a different division.
They're like the 4A, you were 1A?
Yeah, sort of like that. Yeah, Richmond is, a powerhouse in Indiana.
Indiana? So y'all are both Indiana?
Yeah, both from Indiana.
Yeah, same town though.
Yeah.
Like we both lived in Richmond.
Gotcha.
But I went to the littles with all the farmers and shit. And he was in the big city there.
The big city of 40,000 people, maybe.
Yeah.
So you, prior to starting Workhorse, you had your own screen printing shop. Was there a transition from screen printing into screen printing shop to like sales in supply industry, or did you just go straight from your screen printing shop to saying, all right, I'm going to start Workhorse or start a equipment line?
Yeah, that's a good question. So with our screen printing shop, we were so poor that we couldn't afford to buy new equipment. So what we used to do is buy used equipment. And then my business partner's father was a tool and die maker. So we would take like the worst used equipment that we could find and just rebuild it from scratch. And every time our shop grew, we would, outgrow a piece, sell it, and buy something, another used piece of equipment and rebuild it. So what we learned how to do in rebuilding used equipment, we learned, what was needed to make good equipment. So we started building new equipment. And, basically I was 18, 19 years old, and I found that it was easier to sell equipment on a national level than it was to sell T-shirts to my local school, just because they didn't know I was 18 years old.
Yep.
So it was that mother or invention as the mother. What is that? Help me out, Adam. The mother
necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah. That.
What is it?
I can. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Gotcha.
Except we couldn't afford because back then you're talking in the 80s where the equipment was super expensive to get into. Companies like Precision and Advanced who died off because of all these other equipment companies starting up. And, for half the cost of what it took in the 70s and 80s, there was this was overfabricated stuff that was really expensive. Probably the same expense back then that you would pay for a press now. I mean, that's how
that's true.
That's how expensive it was. And I remember that first dryer that you guys built.
So y'all made dryers too. You just didn't make the manual equipment. You guys made the dryers.
Right. Yeah. The first product I ever made was actually a flash cure unit. And it was literally a heating element on a microphone stand.
Microphone boom stand.
Microphone boom stand.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really have any fabrication equipment. We would buy panels, put them on a microphone stand. And really what we were doing is we were showing people how to print on dark garments. Because back then, people didn't know how to print on dark garments. They didn't know about flash curing. So really what we were doing is educating and teaching people how to print on dark garments. And by the way, if you want to do that, you need one of these. And, here's what we have.
Yeah. And I was the dude trying to, be their production guy.
Yeah. Only if you had video cameras and internet back in the day.
Right.
You would have taken off then. So anyway, so the color. So I think Workhorse evolved over the years with the colors, right? I mean, it's never just been started off with blue.
Yeah, originally we were all teal.
So it was still in that blue family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we had the Odyssey line, which was the lower end line, which was gray. So,
and now it's all has that teal vibe to it.
Yeah,
and there is a lot in between all of that.
Yeah,
sure. Work. At least I know. It just didn't jump like we were screen printers, and then he started Workhorse Equipment. There was a whole stuff in the other side of the industry that would take a whole podcast just before you arrived at Workhorse Equipment. And then what year did you sell Workhorse to the Bergman Group?
Yeah, that was I think 2000 or 2001.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's 20 some years ago.
Yeah,
23 years ago.
And I told him
33 years ago. Wait, 2001?
Yeah.
Yeah, 23, sorry.
And I told him, him working here, this is like this full circle event, him coming back, because
it's a lot of work to think. It's a lot of brain power. It's too much.
After we sold Workhorse, I stayed on for another probably 10 years or something like that to grow the business more. So, I hope to oversee the tough acquisition and the progressive acquisition. And really opening up Workhorse to be a global, company.
Before we, I guess, move into like talking about, since you guys went to the same high school together, some of the junk you might have on Mike, so everybody out in the podcast sphere can know. Before we get to there, what do you think of Workhorse today? As it's,
I mean, I think it's still a solid brand. I think that. M&R's got some better higher end equipment, but I think, Workhorse is still a solid brand that is for something that people are looking for, something affordable and reliable. So I think it's still pretty solid.
I thought you were going to talk junk about it. Like, hey, it's not going anywhere.
No, I mean, they haven't innovated for a long time.
Yeah.
So the product line's pretty dated at this point. But as far as the reliability goes, I think it's pretty good.
Still a Workhorse.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not going to not do its job.
Still out there plowing the fields, right, on a daily basis.
It's good. I mean, it's good entry level. It's a little bit beyond an entry level, but it's not that high end expensive piece. I mean, it's good. It's got its place.
And the best thing, it's not a brown
color. Yeah,
because for all of you out there, I don't care what you buy from us, buy from anybody, but I'm going to fire a shot across the bow. Yeah, brown. It's there's a reason why it's colored brown.
Well, it's pink now. So.
Did they do a special pink, or are they all pink? I don't know if I could.
Pretty sure they've kept the pink around. I've
seen the pink at the shows, but I thought that was just sort of like cancer machine or something. But I thought they were doing that for that. But please tell me they didn't go pink on everything.
I have no clue, but I haven't seen brown. I mean, we've not been to many shows, and the shows we have gone to, we've been not nailed down to our booth. But anyway, some back end stories on Mike.
Yeah.
Before the podcast started,
give him the dirt. I'm not afraid.
There's a few cops involved. I think there was some ecstasy, some drug running.
Not even back in the 80s. That shit.
No drug running or nothing.
No drug running.
No.
But
I thought that's what you said.
No, I didn't know. He's like trying to dig up the dirt. No, it was all, it was all good, fair play. I don't know if I've settled the my karma with Mike over an arrest that happened.
So there's still some stuff lingering.
There could be. I was hoping that, now that we've come full circle and now that we work together, we can iron these things out. But
you owe money still?
No, back in the day, I had a moped, and I don't know why Mike borrowed it. I don't know what
the lunch or something.
Yeah, it was something simple. And our town, they weren't right on like what was truly a moped, what you had to license. I know there was a pedal thing if you could pedal it. And I had bought this piece of crap. It was my only mode of transportation. I went through a moped phase, and Mike. So you can tell the story. You got pulled over and got a ticket, first of all, right?
Right. Yeah. So I grabbed the moped just to go get some sandwiches or something like that for lunch, and was riding back on the sidewalk. So apparently, even though it has pedals, you can't ride it on a sidewalk if it's motorized. I'm not really sure what the rule was.
See, exactly. I never heard this part. You were on the sidewalk instead of the street?
Well, yeah, because we had the promenade down there. So there was no actual street there. It was all basically...
he was cruising down the promenade. This is all coming... This is all coming together for me now. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, that was a no-go.
Yeah, so I got a ticket, no big deal. And, a few weeks pass, and apparently I had a court date that I had to go to pay the ticket. I was only like maybe 18, 19 years old. So I was like, whatever, I didn't really pay attention to it. And, in our screen printing shop, we actually used to print t-shirts for the local police department for their softball team. So we'd have cops come in there every now and then just to order t-shirts for whatever they were doing. And so this was a Friday afternoon, maybe about 4:30, and these two cops come in, and they're the same cops that bought t-shirts from us. So I thought, okay, they're coming in. We're going to get another order, great, nice, get an order late on a Friday afternoon. And then Mike chimes in.
Yeah, I chime in. Are you here to arrest Mike?
You already knew about it.
No,
I
was just kidding. Yeah, I was just, like you would do with your friend, like, hey, the cops are here to bust you.
Yeah.
And
they said, yes, we are here.
Yes, matter of fact, we are.
They cuffed you, right?
I think they did cuff me.
They cuffed him over a freaking moped ticket for failure to appear, and because it was a Friday.
A bench warrant.
It was a bench warrant. Because it was a Friday, he couldn't even see a judge, so he had to spend the weekend in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had to eat that, jail food, the old bread and water.
Like thin bologna sandwiches.
Bologna sandwiches with cheese, white bread.
Didn't even have time to get money on his commissary, so. Yeah, that
was my hard time that whole weekend.
Yeah, that was the hardest day of his life.
Yeah.
And then after that, he's like, I'm not doing this anymore. Let me start a equipment.
Right. There you go. Yeah.
And in this same time period, my parents moved to Arizona and pretty much said, screw you guys, screw me, I'm going. And I didn't go with them because I was 18, 19, something like that. And, my parents were like, see ya, we're moving to Arizona and left me out on the cold streets. Right?
Legit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had no place. I got no place to go.
Yeah. No money, no place to live.
They didn't say come to Arizona with me, or if you don't come, then you're just screwed?
No, there was no invite to Arizona at the time.
There's not, you were 18, so technically they could do that, right?
I was going to be a father soon.
Okay.
So that just added to it. So it was a low time.
It's a whole nother story.
These were not the salad days. Let's just put it that way for me. So, the irony, the name of the company was The Alternative. So
the screen printing company?
Yeah. Or the Alternative, as we saw on our mail sometimes. But my only alternative was to live at the shop. And so I slept under Mike's desk.
He slept under my desk. And
why under the desk? Why not just
well, it was upstairs and there was
carpeting there. So
there was carpeting.
The basement was just cement and
Gotcha.
probably cold. And
it was. And the ghost was down there.
And this was a retail location. So there were like the front windows were all glass. So if he slept not in the office, he'd be sleeping out in the middle.
Where people could walk by like they're looking at the pet store.
Yeah.
And so you can tell the worst part of it. Did you guys actually come down and see me in the washout booth?
Yeah, I think we did actually. Yeah. So Mike, being the resourceful guy that he is, living in the shop and needing after a while to bathe. We had back in those days, like I said, we didn't have any money, so all of our equipment was either homemade or rebuilt or whatever. So we took one of those old 55-gallon or 100-gallon oil tanks that you have for like home heating.
You see them on the side of trailers, those big silver bastards. Yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah, and we cut a hole in the side of it, and that was our washout tank. So we, hooked up water to it.
We had a little milk crate in there. You would set the screen on.
Right.
That's how we washed our screens out and reclaimed all in that same tank.
And also how screen printer Mike would take baths. So
I would sit on that milk crate.
How big was this tank?
It was about as big as this couch.
Yeah.
But tall. And then it had a big square. Now you had to be careful because it was just the metal cut out of there. Yeah. So, it was a tetanus waiting to happen, just getting in and out of it. But thankfully in the screen printing supply, end of things for shampoo, I was able to use the degreaser. And what we had back then, I don't know if
it was just clear.
It was clear. Yeah. Now it didn't have any good properties, as far as like, scalp protection or, soften your hair.
There was no Head and Shoulders.
Yeah. Not good for dandruff. Definitely.
Not good for, probably gave dandruff that, I had to fight off for years, but, those were hard times. And then finally, I think it was your mom when she found out that I was living at the shop, she's like, tell Mike he can live with us. So,
because my mom had an extra room in the house. So it's like, let's let Mike live here.
So I didn't have to be homeless and put up with, living, in kind of a sketchy downtown area with, some, there were sketchy people. That's where the sketchy people were.
So you have this tank that you guys cut out. Was it higher off the ground?
Yeah, it was probably, that high off the ground for the opening.
Yeah, for the opening.
So you had to get some steps to step up into it, to get into it.
And then I had to sit in there, and it was cold water too, by the way.
There was no
and I just had a hose. So I would have to climb.
Imagining this.
I would have to climb in there. And, fortunately, no one heard the shrieks of what cold water sounds like.
It's good for you nowadays. So
Yeah. I was doing that cold water therapy like back then. And it would usually, but guys got to be clean, I guess, so.
At least you were clean.
Very resourceful, I thought.
Yeah, you have to do what you have to do to get by.
Did you charge them for the extra chemicals you used in your tank? For
no, we didn't.
Bathing?
Those were the employee benefits, right, man?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining you getting a little step ladder, stepping into the tank.
Yes.
It was a pressure washer or just a standard hose?
It was a hose.
Just a hose. Yeah, we
Garden
didn't have I think we had some sort of like pressure adapter, but we didn't have a whole pressure washer.
Yeah, just the old squeeze type.
Gotcha.
I remember it's burned into my brain.
Sure.
But there was it was a hangout. Like we all of our friends, they would come to the shop. So like even when we weren't printing, it was just sort of like a hangout. People would come down because. We were, in those years, we were cool. I mean, I don't think we realized how cool we were back then, but we were cool because we were t-shirt printers.
As far as we knew.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was, people like, coming down and, hanging out with us.
Yeah, it was totally cool because we were, we'd be printing till late at night a lot of times. And sometimes if friends were coming over to hang out, we'd put them to work a little bit. And And
they bring in some beer and shit, you know. I mean, it was and then we'd have these little contests where, like, when a screen was bad, you would punch them out. And there was a few times where the fist went through the screen and onto the face of the person
who's holding it.
And then there was the classic time where I forget who was holding it, but we had like a real low mesh, you know, and those are hard to bust. I mean, you look at a fine mesh, you can bust through it, you know, karate style. But like a 80 mesh, and you'd hold it up like this, and then like Jay, I think hit the mesh, and the person just went flying, and then of course his knuckles are just tortoise shit. But
remember we had the old letterpress competitions?
Yeah, we had this little hand pump with your where it like comes together. I mean, this thing was from the 1800s or something.
Probably.
Yeah, so I don't even know how we got that back there. And then we had a dark room because we had to do film back then, and that's where Mike would catch me sleeping. But here's the thing: is the dark room, it had to be red light, and if you had film out, especially the box open, and you come busting in there, then it would ruin. And film was expensive, really expensive,
right?
So
should probably explain what film was.
Yeah, well, it was a true photograph. Like, if you ever seen the 3 little tanks of developer and then a rinse and then fixer, that's how we made our film positives with a photo enlarger and all that stuff. Look it up, kids, on the internet. But it was expensive. So, like, those guys would knock on the door, and I would be sleeping in there, and I would just wake up and yell out, "Film's out," you know, and then they would like wait for me to like open the door like 2 minutes later, and I'd have like carpet stuck to my face, or you'd see the pattern of carpet.
The imprint.
Yeah. I was not a good employee back then, was I? Were any of us though?
Yeah, probably not.
We probably weren't.
You were still printing shirts though,
right? We were printing shirts and making a little money, so that was good.
Yeah, we were doing innovations, you know, even stuff like 4-color process on the old mimeograph machine, the old John Cougar Mellencamp. You know, between Mike and Jay, I was in for the ride. I was their employee that they just felt bad. They had to, you know, and they needed somebody to do some of the dirty work. But they were innovating back then. So it made sense that both Jay, who's not here, he's still in the screen printing. I think he still prints. They were innovators when it came on the equipment side, because like I said, it's one of those things where if you can't afford it, you can build it. But understanding the problems and then having the resources to, you know, build something that the average guy, you know, just couldn't build, machined parts. And that led to a company acquisition with Atlas.
Yep.
That was a whole mess in itself. But the trade shows that we went to in the 80s completely, you know, now we just went to a couple trade shows and you see the Avient parties and the vendor parties. Those don't even come close to what was going on in the 80s. It was just mayhem. I'm surprised that some of these old guys that we see survived that.
Still out there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it's
they have to go because they have kids in these places, in these new towns where the trade shows are hosted.
Yeah.
They have kids that they don't know of that they had to go back and visit.
yeah, exactly.
From the 80s.
Right.
That would not
probably some truth to that.
Yeah, there probably is some definite truth to that. But yeah, we're stuck in this, man. I mean, that's I don't know, you know. I think Mike finally just relented and said, like, back in the screen printing shit. I mean,
yeah.
How long have you been gone from the whole industry?
Well, I left the industry probably like 6 or 7 years ago and got into marketing for kind of .com B2B SaaS companies. But I always followed everything that was going on and just kind of got burned out on the software marketing stuff and decided I want to get back to what I love doing.
It's in the blood.
Yeah.
It's wild that it's once you get into it, you stay into it.
And you were born into it, so you have it even worse than we do because you had the yellow hands when you were a kid, playing in ink. So I don't think you can escape it.
No, you can't. I mean, everybody, once you're in it, you're in it.
But it's good that you like it. I mean, it'd be one thing like you're like, okay, I was sort of born into this, and I don't know if you had a time where you had these other ambitions of like, I'm going to be a
gynecologist.
Yeah. And that didn't work out because of the size of your hands or something. But yeah, but I saw that in you early that you with all the frustrations and stress that you go through, like when we're doing this or we're working on a video and stuff, you sort of like this.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to, it makes it a little more fun to be able to jump into podcasts or jump into videos and get away from the mayhem that goes through the day-to-day.
Yeah, the order
processing, or I guess any person who's in the screen printing supply side, they go through the day-to-day craziness and shipping errors or UPS lost this package or whatever. But the videos and the podcast allows you to get away from that and do something different.
And we just went through, like every company I've been that's fielded a new system. We just went through this system with barcodes and a whole new kind of inventory, type scenario. So there's lots of growing pains in there and a lot of angst and, everything that goes with that. Fortunately, I'm like the only guy maybe in the whole building that had nothing to do with that. And I didn't have to, I was like in my own little bubble while people were running around on fire for, the last, especially the last month and a half or so.
Yeah. It's still going on. I mean, it's a lot to change.
Yeah.
But are you over the hump yet? Or are we just,
no, we're still climbing that ride on up. I mean, it hasn't stopped yet. It's nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I worked in the warehouse a little bit yesterday just to kind of get a feel for it and stuff like that. And I was actually really impressed with how easy the pick, pack, ship is with the barcodes and all of that and order entry was pretty smooth. So.
Yeah, we thought that was going to be the hardest thing. That ended up being the easiest thing in the whole building to transition into, being the barcode. The hardest thing has been front of the office and having the internet orders integrate correctly and come in correctly.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't care about that side of stuff, I don't think.
Well, yeah, that's true. It's just that, like I said, this is part of the daily grind of what people never see that you go through in a company like this to, try to make things better. And the accuracy, I think, is what you're looking for, right?
Yeah. And the biggest part of it is it's not our fault. It's the bitches. It is the bitches. I'm trying to make, I don't want to say the F word, but it's the freaking shipping companies that are drilling us. So if y'all get mad about something, get over it, because it's not our fault. It's the shipping companies, UPS, FedEx, R&L carriers, SAI, whatever freight company you want to call it, whoever it is, they nickel and dime you left and right on every single shipment, no matter what it is. So we're getting drugged through all this. We have deep discounts with these carriers, but they still, like a prison. If we deliver to a prison, you got to have, and there's an extra fee added on to get into the prison. Got to go to a school. There's an extra fee added on to get to the school on top of what the shipping is. We're getting off topic on this, but I guess because we're going through now all the issues with the shipping carriers.
Yeah.
And not our fault.
We should just go back to the good old fashioned U.S. Postal
What have I been
Service.
saying the whole time? If Facebook guy was never born and Bezos was never born, we'd be good.
Right.
Yeah. They've kind of manipulated the system, I guess, right?
I guess.
But yeah, that's definitely the logistics behind that is got to be a nightmare. Thank you for keeping me out of all of that. Because I don't need another, I have nothing to do with this. And I'm happy. I'm very, very, very happy. So, Mike, you're about to get out on the road, right? When you go back to
but that's we introduced you, but we don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Who the hell is this guy?
Why are you with us? Why are you on the couch? He's on the couch because he just started with us at Martin Supply in Baltimore. Martin is out of Baltimore. You're from Connecticut, and what are you doing with us?
Right. Yeah. So I'm going to be covering Connecticut, New York, and parts of Rhode Island. Representing M&R. We've got Rutland. We've got Unionings. We've got Easyway, CCI. So really just helping out screen printers and sign makers in that kind of New York, Connecticut area.
And you've never been on the side of the fence in this industry. You sold the equipment, but you've never been on the supply side.
Right. Yeah. So definitely a big learning curve for me. I'm familiar with all the products to a certain extent, but it's different working on, selling equipment on an international level versus selling equipment supplies, in a local market. So I got a little bit to learn there, but got great support here with the whole team, in Baltimore and down here, and the other sales guys. Everybody's been super supportive, so I feel good about that.
Is there, in your mind, like coming into this, fresh, is there, are you going to leverage like your marketing experience? Can that translate to like, how you approach selling, at this level?
I think it's a little different. I'm definitely happy to help with any of that kind of stuff that comes up. But really, it's about servicing accounts and making sure that we get the customers what they need and give them the sort of education and products and information that they need. So a little different, but yeah.
Or finding, these
opportunities.
Definitely. The people that have never been visited by,
Right. Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to that because we've got a lot of accounts that haven't been serviced for a while. So looking forward to helping them out, and some accounts that are growing, looking forward to helping them out as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be an interesting journey for sure. I'm sure we'll be, in touch with you, especially since I know you. I'm going to be like, hey, what's up? What's going on there? Where I don't know a lot of the other people up there,
Yeah.
I don't talk to them.
No, we've got a good crew up there, between Ray Chalk covering kind of Massachusetts and parts of Connecticut, and Brian Rapp covering, Baltimore. We've got another new guy coming on soon. So we'll have some really good coverage in the Northeast.
And everybody from the industry, and they're all really good. They've all been from the production side to the equipment manufacturing side. So the crew of salesmen we have is really strong.
Oh, and believe me, he's printed T-shirts too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I come out like the production side in the past 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I said, he can't get away with him. I just asked him the other day if he still had this original screen that he made like in high school. It's like a silhouette of like you catching a Frisbee or something.
Yeah, my brother catching a Frisbee.
Yeah, your brother. Back where, that's kind of high school, right? Yeah. Had to staple that mesh on there or put tack.
I still have it, yeah.
Yeah. That's that's an amazing thing. And that's what, when I first met him, he was printing bootleg AC/DC t-shirts in a basement of a guy, and it had a conveyor in there that had a canvas belt. So I didn't know any better. It had some burn holes and stuff in it. And I think that the deal is that like if you did his bootleg t-shirts, then he let you use the equipment.
Yeah.
So that you could start printing your own cool stuff,
Right. Yeah. I think we got paid like $6 a dozen to print these bootleg concert t-shirts that he was selling.
Yeah. This is literally, there were days where, like, imagine where we were in Indiana. The two big cities were Indianapolis and Dayton, Ohio. So you have Richmond sits almost right in between there. Richmond's the biggest city in between those two on 70. And so this cat would go to the concert in Indianapolis, grab a shirt like from the Asia concert. You remember that design?
Yeah.
And then they would run it back. McEvoy would pin it down, put clear transparencies, and then take mechanical pins and redraw every step right off the shirt. Huh?
So really dating ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm proud of that shit. And then print those shirts in time to bootleg them at the Dayton, Ohio show.
The next town over for the next day.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, this dude had his thing going on, those $8 a dozen shirts.
Yeah.
And
He was selling for $10-15.
Yep.
I don't know what he was selling them for, but those were the worst. We had to wear bandanas because that fuzz would get up, in your sinuses just printing those shirts.
Oh yeah.
And then like my first bootleg shirt was the AC/DC. It was a sleeveless, shirt. I wore it home all proud and got bashed by my dad. That's another story. But then like the first time you washed it, it's like the print was under your armpit. These were that bad. These shirts were $8 a dozen. I think is what the price was back then. So you can imagine these things were like cheesecloth.
Right.
But that's when I got the hook. The moment I saw him printing a t-shirt, I was just like, this is freaking cool.
So that's where all the enthusiasm has come from back at that one moment.
Yeah, it
printing
really was.
AC/DC.
Yeah.
It's because like, if you're an artist, that's a whole process. And this lets people create something that feels like you're, in the art sense, but it's fact that you're creating something. And then when you see people in your town wearing something that you made,
oh yeah,
that's a little bit different than, like a guy saying like, see that tire right there? Yeah, that come off my line, that Michelin right there. It's different because a t-shirt is so personal and people love t-shirts and they're always getting new t-shirts. So, that's why I still wear them to this day. I mean, no matter what level, I'm going to be buried in a t-shirt. I already have it's already set up. Mine says, I just died and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. So, if you're lucky enough to go to my funeral, make sure that happens, right?
I'll be sure to dig it up in 50 years, see how the shirt looks.
Yeah.
Dig it up.
How'd that shirt hold up?
Yeah. How'd that screen print hold up? And the worms. No, that'll be before it'll be burned up. I will be cremated. So it's on record now, but if you come see me, that'll be the t-shirt I'll be wearing.
Start sprinkling your ashes at some of the shows.
Does anybody want to start a line of beyond and back t-shirts? That's the first one. I just died. I've got another one that is like, why are you crying? I'm the one that's dead. But I've only got a couple.
No.
Okay. The t-shirts for the recently deceased, right?
Yeah.
Okay, bad idea. Let's end this. This is I've gone off the rail. Even Adam is suspiciously quiet on that one. No comment.
All right.
He's not even saying no comment.
We're gonna make it awkward.
It's already awkward.
Anyways, but back to the whole thing we got going on. We wanted to bring Mike onto the podcast, kind of introduce him, get him into this podcast, get him talking, see his thoughts, and actually I was curious about Workhorse and how you came up with the name and where you started from, and then how you got there. And I didn't know you still worked for Workhorse after the buyout or whatever.
Yeah, till like 2008, probably something like that.
Yeah.
And you're going to be at the Atlantic City show.
Yeah, I'll
right?
be at the Atlantic City show. Yeah, so looking forward to meeting some customers there.
So if they want to find you, they just have to hover around the M&R booth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he'll be out there like snagging people. He's going to lasso them in and drag them into the booth.
And you'll have Tyler off in the background just eyeing them.
Yeah. Yeah. So is M&R going to, have you seen their booth layout yet? Are they bringing all the big stuff like they did at Long Beach or?
I haven't seen the layout yet. I know Ray's got it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
It's small. It's smaller. We know that.
Than Long Beach?
Well, yeah. Atlantic City, I mean, it's not that big of a show anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the big shows besides Long Beach? Is the Fort Worth one? People keep asking if we're going to be there. That one seems to be a decent sized show these days.
Shows suck.
He hates the shows. I mean,
I like what we did.
Yeah,
but if I gotta stand there and walk around the booth, I mean, I don't care. Shows suck. I don't care what y'all think. Have fun at your own shows.
have fun.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever gone just as a spectator?
No.
Is that why you hate it?
No, I would not go as a spectator at all.
Well, you got to seek out the competition and handshake. Our friends at PMI and
well, I mean, but that's working. I mean, that's going there to work. If I go there as a spectator just to see what's going on, I would never have any desire to do that.
Yeah, you're not going to go around collecting free T-shirts and stickers and then in your little bag.
Or go to some of the seminars, education.
I'm good on that. I'm talking junk about the shows. Yeah. I enjoyed what we did with the podcast, that sort of thing at Long Beach. That was good.
So you would entertain doing that again?
Oh yeah, 100%. As far as going there and working the booths, they're fun, but I mean, it's a lot of work for 3 days.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to do it. So the shows aren't like they used to be. I mean, I grew up in this, and I grew up in the shows.
Oh, so
I grew up when the shows were a whole lot better than what people or some of these, just like you guys know.
Yeah.
The shows used to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they're not anymore. It's not like it used to be. Everything's online. So that's what I mean by I'm not as interested in the shows anymore, because I know how they used to be for my time.
Yeah.
And you guys know how they used to be back before my time, and how much better they used to be before me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. They were gigantic.
They were gigantic. They were informative. They were very good. They had really, really good stuff. Versus nowadays, you can see everything online already.
Yeah.
Right.
And informative wise, I don't think it's as good as it used to be in informing.
Yeah, it does seem like the people that come to the show, they're excited to be there. I mean, I saw some of the same people in Atlanta that went to Long Beach, and then
same customers or same
people, and then even at the sad, you would have been really sad at the DTF Expo. There was like 35 people there, or 35 vendors, but those people. The customers love it, coming to the show, because then you get to see people face to face and, maybe get stuff answered, and I can see that from that perspective. I think
it's a good place to connect with people that.
Oh yeah. That's why I like going to it, because of the connections you can make with people in the industry. And those go, like we just I had a call yesterday that was someone recommended that was on the podcast, and he called, wanted to talk to Mike, and so there's good things that come out of that.
And that guy's like 15 minutes from where I live. So
exactly. He's going to be knocking on his door like next week.
George?
Yeah.
I thought George lived in Florida.
No, but it was George, someone that George is mentoring, that said, hey, give Mike a call, ask him all your questions, because I'm not going to answer.
So George's friend is in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Correct. Yeah. And he's, if you're watching this podcast, what's up, Brandon? But we got to weed him off of like the FN inks. I call them the fucking inks.
George or Connecticut?
Connecticut guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I just cracked the door open, and Mike's got to go in there and karate kick it down and get his, show him the light here. And he's got a good feeling. He was really receptive and like, here, let me write that down. So I could tell he was, soaking in the vibe. The last thing I'll mention on show is Charlotte always has that show. It's pretty small. Is Texsource, are we planning to be there? I'm putting him on the spot so I can get a yay or nay and mark it on my calendar. It's like November-ish, something. Are we going to?
October, I think.
Yeah. I was waiting for you to switch to my face. Hell yeah, we're going.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Are we going to podcast from there?
So excited.
Are we going to podcast?
I am excited. It'll be good. We'll podcast. We'll do some stuff. It'll be our show when we do what the hell we want to do.
Yeah.
Run around naked if we want to.
Because it's in our backyard.
Screw them.
You could go home at night. You live that close to.
Well, you do too.
Well, I mean, I could, but
you're not.
I
make it a Charlotte weekend for you and your wife.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
And the dog.
We won't pay for that.
Can
That won't be paid for because you're so close to home. So just FYI.
FYI, you want me to drive home every night?
Well, you know you can stay there. You just got to pay for your own hotel.
Well, you want me close there, don't you? And bright and early instead of driving the Charlotte traffic every morning.
Listen, if Ronnie Cannon had to do it every Charlotte show,
Ronnie.
We have no choice but to follow the same suit.
Dang it, Ronnie! See, he set these. And now he's all retired and can't, bust him up over it.
Yeah, we'll be the Charlotte show. We got some ideas of how it's going to be. So
okay. So we'll be there mixed with the partners, but definitely if we're going to be there, we're going to bring you, lots of footage. That's the one thing that I want to see the shows. If you're listening and you do these shows, you promote them and all that, the amount of money you guys charge for internet service at a show, you guys are missing the boat, because do you realize how much more activity we get if we could live stream from the show, where people could be like, show me that Quattro, and you're like over there and you literally can just give them live demonstrations on stuff and interact with the audience. That's where they're missing the boat. I know they have the technology. They're just holding it ransom for an ungodly amount.
Well, you can get a mobile hotspot. That's pretty fast. That's what we used to do when we were doing software. We just got a mobile hotspot that was,
and then
fast.
Screw the convention people. Maybe we should look at that, because I think that would add a dynamic. If we're going to be live from the show, that would be awesome.
Yeah. You can get a fast mobile hotspot these days for next to nothing.
Well, if you want to just lie and go live and just like paint the live logo on it and just do a video that says live, but it's not live.
And then we'll interact with fake people. Like, you want
to interact with people that's coming through the feed.
I think that's the next phase of this, is to do live interactions. In other words, it would have been really cool if we could have done the live podcast. We looked into it.
Yeah.
And what did they want? Like $30,000 to give us a wired internet?
Yeah.
That we would need to pull this off. That's highway robbery. I mean, I can't imagine what M&R was already paying for all of that booth space. And then you're like, extra $30,000 for one little wire. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm calling you out on that. That and the $15 waters. Yeah.
Well, we saved money at Long Beach because we didn't eat, because we worked the entire time. We didn't leave our spot. We didn't eat.
Ryan would not let me eat during the show. He would not let me bathroom break.
We couldn't.
I had 1 5-minute bathroom break per day, and that was
same with Adam. Adam was stuck there.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't eat, so we saved money.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, show money. Yeah.
Well, we drank afterwards, so we spent our lunch money on drinks, lunch and dinner money.
Yeah.
Late night Jack in the Box runs. Yeah.
Sure.
We had to make up for it. I mean, your body needs the fuel.
But yeah, we'll be at Charlotte show. Got Mike and Mike here, and just doing a podcast. I've done it in a while, so
we probably won't see you until the next sales meeting next year. I'm guessing,
January,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah. That's sad. We just reunited, Mike.
Maybe we'll have you up north for
do some training in Martin or something like that.
Yeah, we should be trying to get that going. We got to get this training center in down here.
We're trying to kick Victor out first, so
yeah. Victor, we love you.
I don't think they watch the podcast. I think one of them might, but
yeah,
they're not going to watch it. So.
Oh, they'll definitely say, like, Victor, did you hear they dropped your name on the podcast?
I'm going to take him a retirement cake next time I go. Just screw him with him. Hey, I was told to bring this to you, and it's got happy retirement on it.
Yeah.
Let's see what he does.
See what he does.
He'd be pissed. He'd be like, oh, F this, F that. What do you, get the F out of here. I was like, I didn't do it. Robert told me to do it. And then he'll call him, and then he would just start laughing.
Yeah. That's a great troll. Put a crab on it. Put a crab on it.
Right.
I did think about doing that. I don't know if that's going to be rude or not, but I'm not going to go to the grocery store in Baltimore because I might get robbed. But I planned to call the hotel a couple days ahead. Can you have me a cake ready that's got happy retirement on it? I've thought this through.
Yeah, you have.
You've had some
Yeah, he's plotting and scheming at night. Like, how can I troll?
Although I will get on my little power scooter and hit up the next dispensary down the road. I'm not scared to do that.
Yeah, yeah. That's trolling this guy.
Just kidding. I don't do that.
Yeah, that's probably a bigger troll on him more than me asking him why the Jewish deli didn't have ham and bacon. I think just to get a reaction out of him.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
I know it was wrong, but I was just Victor is a ball buster,
but so me and you know Victor. Me and you know what it is. You've never worked with him.
He knows Victor.
He was a customer a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay, so you know of him.
Yeah,
but he was old back then too. When he knew him back
then.
Yeah. He's been old for like 50 years.
Yeah, that's true.
But what were you going to say?
We wanted to get you here to learn our ways and prosper versus other ways.
Right. No, I love the experience down here. It's been awesome.
So how far is home base going to be for you? Where you live in Connecticut, right?
Right.
And so how far is Baltimore? I mean, every time I think of that, it seems like you're an hour away from DC, New York City, Philadelphia, and Baltimore is all within an hour of each other. Not quite true.
Not quite true. Baltimore is a little bit farther away, but I'm, like an hour from New York City, hour from, a couple hours from Rhode Island. So, Baltimore is a little bit farther away though.
So Rhode Island's pretty small. Like you could probably cover that territory in like a day.
Well, we're going to split that one up because Ray's got kind of the northern part, and I'll take the southern part.
Wow, you got to split Rhode Island. Times are tough, man. We got
he's got a bunch of existing accounts he's been servicing for a long time.
I got you.
So he's going to keep those accounts, and there's be other accounts that haven't been serviced for a while, so I'll pick those up.
Yeah. Maybe it's Rhode Island. I've never been there. It's a tiny state.
Yep.
No desire to go.
No desire.
No.
All right.
I think we've covered everything.